The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show and Matt Landowski and Sweet Hand Sports. Our mission at Sweet Hand Sports is to gear you up for greatness. With our top tier gloves, you are set to grip, win, and dominate. Grip your victory and leave your mark on the game. Sweet Hand Sports brings you batting gloves and now golf gloves that are designed to be durable and breathable. Go to sweethandsports.com, use the promo code BONO10 and save yourself 10%. Grip your victory at Sweet Hand Sports. Once again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10 to save yourself 10%. The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming product at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of their suppliers are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. He has sent me a complimentary bottle of their beard balm. My beard has never felt softer. It has never been more tamed and has never grown faster or looked healthier. I've been using these products for a little while now, and I love every minute of it. Once again, buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code Mike Bono and save yourself 15%. Next, we are brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood. The Tactical Brotherhood is a movement to support America. We believe that there is a gap in focus when it comes to companies that support America. We want to be the front lines of supporting Americans and are determined to find something worth being proud of in every aspect of our military, starting with the men and women who serve and protect us. Our mission is simple: to unite like-minded individuals by celebrating what makes each one of us unique Americans. You don't have to be a veteran to join us. You just have to love America. Go to tacticalbrotherhood.com, use the promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Once again, the tacticalbrotherhood.com, promo code Mike Bono, save yourself 10%. Next, we are brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company brought to you by first responders for first responders. They are a clothing apparel company that helps those who have worked through the COVID-19 pandemic and also for all the first responders with their mental and physical health. Deemed Fit donates 100% of their net profits from the Never Forget collection sales to the Tunnel of Towers Foundation to support those from 9/11. Once again, go to deemedfit.com. Check out all of their great products. All of them have great messages. They fit and look great. Use the promo code Mike Bono and save yourself 10%. By supporting Deemed Fit through your own purchase, gifts bought for your friends, family, and colleagues, or by becoming one of our brand ambassadors, you become part of the Deemed Fit family. Don't miss out on this great way to help and support everyone who has helped and supported our country. Deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Next, we have Shankit Golf. Shankit Golf is golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We're not going to go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but we are going to give you the gear to help you rock it on and off of the course. Our goal here at Shankit Golf is for everyone to have a great time on and off of the course, and we're going to help you look great while doing it. Go to shankitgolf.com, use the promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Once again, shankitgolf.com, promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Web Western. Web Western is for those who roll up their sleeves and do what it takes to get the job done. The arrow serves as a constant reminder to be a straight shooter, no excuses, no bullshit, just honest hard work. It's a brand that reflects the passion within us to lend a hand when it is needed, fight to protect our God-given rights, and live life like there is no tomorrow. Be a straight shooter. Now, let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I have a great guest for us today. She comes to us all the way from Case Western Reserves University up in Cleveland, and that is Heather Willis joins the show. Heather, thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem at all. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Heather, where you're from, where you grew up, and stuff like that, and high schools and whatnot, and how you got to where you're at.
Sure. My name's Heather Willis, as you said. I am originally from New Bern, North Carolina, which means, of course, I have to shout out all the fun facts. It is the birthplace of Pepsi, so always get into arguments about which is better, Pepsi or Coke. The answer is Pepsi. It's also home to the world's largest Harris Teeter, which is a grocery store, and it is home to Nicholas Sparks. So lots of fun things happening in that town. So that's where I grew up. For high school, I ended up going to a public boarding school, which is called the North Carolina School of Science and Math. Go Unis. Our mascot was the unicorns, very original there. So I went there for junior, senior year, and I think that's really where my interest in higher education and working in more like advocacy spaces started. I ended up then going to a college in Wilson, North Carolina called Barton College for 4 years. Had lots of different jobs and leadership roles in that. That ultimately led to my interest in going into higher education, which then led me to Kent State University, where I got my master's in higher education and student affairs. While I was doing that program, I was a graduate assistant at Case Western Reserve in their residence life department. So I worked as an ARCD, so a community director basically. So I got to live in the residence halls, work with the students, supervise some RAs, and then I ended up liking it so much I decided to stay there full time, just in a different office, the Office of Student Activities and Leadership, which is all about like planning programs and supervising students. So it's kind of a very quick summary of how I got to where I'm at.
Hey, no worries at all. That's definitely interesting. I didn't know that about Pepsi being in North Carolina. That's
Yeah.
and you said Nicholas Sparks?
Yes, Nicholas Sparks lives there. Interestingly, he founded a school, like I don't know if it's K through 12 school, but he founded a school, the Epiphany School of Global Studies, and that's where my dad actually teaches. And my
Oh,
mom worked there in fundraising for a couple years, so she's actually gotten to meet him several times and get some funding there. So we have interesting ties to Nicholas Sparks.
it's awesome. Hey, however you can get it right. When you get
Mhm.
somebody like that in there, but you are currently working at Case Western Reserves. I believe you're in the student affairs office out there. So what exactly do you do there at Case?
Yeah, so under the Division of Student Affairs, my office is the Office of Student Activities and Leadership. My title specifically is a Assistant Director for Engagement because we love long titles in higher ed. And so, what we do is we oversee the majority of student organizations on campus, which includes some of your bigger ones like the Student Government. Class Officer Collective is the student group that I advise, and they're all about planning programs for each class. So, first year, second year, junior, senior, and some of the big traditional events on campus like homecoming and Hudson Relays. So, we oversee a lot of student groups and we do risk management for them. And then we do a lot of event planning. So a lot of your big traditions we either plan fully or will assist with. And school spirit, of course, is a big one. I chair the University Spirit Committee, which is where I got to meet Johnny, who is an awesome individual. And so we're all about promoting school spirit on campus as well.
That sounds like right up Johnny's alley.
Oh
Knowing
yes.
him for as long as I have known him from our days at Bethany College, way back when we were enrolled there as students. And I mean, this man has more energy than anybody I know.
Oh
And
yeah,
if there's one thing I know, he gives everything 152% of whatever he has that he dives into. Uh,
for sure. It
awesome.
was such a big loss when we lost him from that committee. I miss him.
I'm sure. I can tell you this. I mean, he's been helping me out with this show now for we're on season 6, and
Mhm.
he's come in about a quarter of the way through the first season, so almost 6 years now. And I wake up at 5 a.m. to a text message from him already about the show and stuff that we got going on, and he's already working that early in the morning. And just, I wish I could bottle his energy and sell it.
I
I'd
know.
make a killing.
I
I
could
would
use
never
that
have to work
job
again.
for sure.
We could do that. And but with your job there, it has you in Cleveland right now. What are some of your favorite things to do in Cleveland? As someone who's frequented Cleveland a lot, doing comedy and everything like that, so I'm familiar with the area. So, what are kind of some of your favorite things to do up in Cleveland?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I don't often have a whole lot of free time because I actually work another part-time job most days. So I don't get out a whole lot. Some of my favorites, though, I've gotten to go down to Playhouse Square. That was great. Got to see Six, the musical. Definitely one of my favorite experiences in Cleveland, for sure. Aside from that, my staff recently just went to this place called Activate. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I've heard of it, but
Um,
I don't know what it is.
it's like you go into, they have a ton of different rooms, and there's one that's like a laser room. You're trying to avoid the lasers, and each round it gets progressively harder. There's like a trivia basketball room. It there are so many things that they do in that space. It's so cool. Definitely want to go back there again because that was a really cool experience. It was really interesting though. I think it's designed for people who are a little bit younger than my staff is because we were all hurting by the end of our hour with how wild it was. But
Oh yeah. I
that was really fun.
I get it with the young activities. I still feel like I'm in my 20s and I'm not. I'm closer to 40 than I am to 20.
Yeah.
And I recently got to feel my age, I guess we'll say, in that my me and my son decided we wanted to just wrestle around and horse around in the backyard. I mean, he's been wanting to get into mixed martial arts and everything like that too as well. And as somebody who has a martial arts background, I've been trying to teach him on my own
Yeah.
and stuff like that, show him some stuff. So we just started wrestling around in the backyard. I could not move the next day,
No, no.
and I mean, my son's not little. For anybody that's listened to the show, but for the new listeners out there, my son he's 16. He is 6'1", 220 pounds, and he's a big boy, and he's a lot stronger than I give him credit for. Yeah,
Mm,
the next day at work, everybody was just getting on me like, why are you walking so slowly? I was like, I'm feeling my age a little bit. And I told them what happened. Everybody got a big kick out of it because it's just, it's the first time in a long time. It's like, yeah, I'm 37. I shouldn't be doing this anymore.
yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I think I have the opposite problem. I'm in my 20s, but I don't feel like it. I feel more in the 30s at this point.
Oh, I've told everyone because everyone that not everyone, but most of the people that I work with are right out of college that for my day job. So they're young, they're able to move around, they got a lot of energy, and they're just like, oh, it couldn't have been that bad. I'm like, I'm telling you, man, when you hit 30, that check engine light comes on in your body and it just doesn't turn off. Like
Yeah.
that's where I'm at and with that. So yeah, that was the first real experience in a long time that it's like, man, I'm starting to feel my age, and seeing the gray hairs and the beard and the hair is not fun because I still feel like I feel like honestly like this is again I'm going to show my age, and like when people were like, oh yeah, time goes faster than you think, and you're like, oh no, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I still feel like I just graduated college like last
Yeah.
week, and I graduated in 2012. So like that's yeah, it's been that long. And so I, just enjoy everything and enjoy the time when you can move around because it doesn't last for long.
For sure.
But with that being said, I know, work takes up a lot of your time as it does with mine too. So what's some of your hobbies that you like to do in your spare time, if you have any, outside of work?
Yeah, I would say my biggest one is playing board games. All of my friends know I am an avid board gamer. I have the app Board Game Geek downloaded on my log every time I play. I absolutely love playing board games. Card games too, but most of the time board games. We have some friends coming over tonight who are going to be playing, so very excited about that.
Nice.
Um, yeah, it's a really fun time. If you ever need board game recs, let me know. Can
Yeah.
do Aside from that, lots of reading when I can. Again, that's one of those, if you have time for it, you have time. If you don't, you don't. But I love to read, especially more of your like fantasy type books there. So those are probably my two biggest hobbies. I recently got into pickleball, trying to pick that one up because that was an interesting time I had recently with my brother. I went and played pickleball for the first time with two tennis coaches and someone who was in a pickleball league. And then there was myself, who had never played before. And I like to think that I did well, but comparatively, it was not the same skill level that they displayed there, but that was a really fun time. So trying to get into pickleball as well.
What did you think of pickleball, like in general, with playing and not having played? My sister and brother-in-law play all the time. I see it on Instagram and that because I don't live anywhere near them, and she's always ranting and raving about how much she loves pickleball. And my sister wasn't as much of an athlete growing up as I was, so to see her getting into a sport, like what did you think of pickleball? Just something trying to pick it up and
Yeah, I loved it. I don't love tennis. Well, tennis is interesting. I'm not good at tennis at all, but it is very entertaining when I play. So for that reason, I enjoy it sometimes. Pickleball I found to be much easier. So especially just like learning it for the first time. So I definitely really enjoyed that. Now, granted, I played volleyball for many years in high school and middle school growing up. So I think volleyball kind of translated really well to pickleball
okay.
in an interesting way. So I think for that reason it was probably a little bit easier for me than a true beginner. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was
Yeah. Yeah, I've wanted to try it, but like my schedule just hasn't really allowed me. But like, because like I keep going back, like, well, if my sister can do it, like I definitely could do it. Like I was an athlete growing up. I mean, from I started sports from the time I was 8 years old and started
mm,
swimming then, and went all the way through my sophomore year of college and swimming. And basketball, baseball, football, like, so I was always doing something, like, so I feel like I could probably pick it up, but it's always one of those things like, yeah, but I don't know much about it, and I'm one of those people that I'm super competitive. I'm
yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
very, like, no matter what it is. Like
Mhm.
my my wife used to yell at me all the time, like when I would play video games with my son, and she'd be like, "Well, why don't you let him win?" I'm like, "Cause Dad doesn't lose. That's rule number one. First off, I'm
My
competitive."
dad was the same way, so I get that.
It's just like, and plus, it's not going to teach him anything if I just let him win. So
Mhm.
he's going to have to earn it if he's coming for me for anything. I mean, even like just we've tried family game nights, but then we realized that both my wife and I are super competitive. Like we would
Yeah.
both love to play board games, like you were talking about, like you like to do, because we love board games ourselves. But it always ends in like a heated argument because we're both just super competitive and we both hate losing.
Mhm.
So it just ends that way. But yeah, like it's something that I think I'm going to have to just break down and give it a try
Yeah.
and see what happens, because I hear everybody ranting and raving about it. So, and I think that it's becoming a professional league now, pickleball. Like I think I saw that on ESPN a couple months
Oh.
ago, that there's now like a professional pickleball league, which I never thought was going to happen.
Yeah, that's not too surprising. I've seen a lot of like recreational leagues in Cleveland that are like specifically geared towards all types of players. So if you've never played before or if you're super skilled, so that could be something to look into. There are lots of those, I think, in the area.
Yeah, absolutely. You did mention it a little bit that you were the chairwoman of the spirit committee at Case and that you got to work with Johnny. What was it like working with Fiddy? Because again, like I said, I know that I've known the man forever, but I always love to give everybody's take on what it was like working with him. And if you have any good Johnny stories.
Oh my gosh. So when I met him, well, I don't remember the first time I met him, but I remember his first meeting that he came to the spirit committee because it can sometimes our meetings are Fridays at 10 a.m. on Zoom, so it can sometimes be a challenge to get people in the mood to talk a lot. Did never had an issue with Johnny, and not even a little bit. That's one of the things I always appreciated was at the very least I knew someone would be chiming in to give me their opinions on whatever we were chatting about. So I loved working with him. if we ever needed anyone to volunteer or any like ideas or anything, he would always throw himself out there. He always just had such good ideas, however realistic they were. He was never afraid to throw those out. So I really, really liked working with him. He always brought the energy to our meetings and our events. I was so sad the day he left.
It seems to be a general consensus of anybody that's worked with Johnny,
Mhm.
is that they're like, we loved him, and when he left the group or whatever it was, they were like, we didn't know what to do, because now we had to find somebody to replace that energy. I was like, it's going to take like 3 people to replace that energy, for
100%, yeah.
sure. My wife, she loves Johnny, but like there's times when she's just like, yeah, tell your work husband I said hi, because I think he talks to you more than I more than I do sometimes. Like,
That's so
I
funny.
yeah, we talk all the time. Like it's just like, anytime my phone dings, she's like, "That Fiddy?" Like, it's Fiddy. And like, it's just, I love the man to death. He's come on. I didn't even ask him. He asked to come on and help out with the show, and couldn't have been happier. And I didn't think he was going to hit the ground running the way he did
Mhm.
to help the show out. And we're super happy to have him. But I still remember the first time I met him. I didn't know his name was Johnny. It was in
Okay.
it was in college, and he'd always introduced himself to everybody as Fiddy.
Hmm.
So that was kind of like that. And then we had a class, and the professor was just taking roll call, and she said, Johnny Falcone. And I was like, who the hell's Johnny Falcone? Like, she was just, and he was like, yeah. And I was like, no, that's Fitty. Like, that's not Johnny. Like, I don't know. Like, I didn't
That's
know
so funny.
his actual name for the longest time, because
Yeah.
I always called him Fitty. And yeah, and when we got to know each other at Bethany, both being athletes and being at the rec center and the sports complex at Bethany, and he was I never saw somebody so interested in my sport and swimming, for somebody who didn't know anything about it, really. He knew enough about it to hold a conversation, but he wanted to learn. Like, did you notice that with the spirit committee? Was he always like eager to find out other things and learn more about that committee to help out in any way?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, he always wanted to help out, know more about anything, any of the events, even if it was just like my office was doing it rather than the whole spirit committee. He was always invested in what everybody was doing, for sure.
Yeah, he's that's just how he is, and that's all I've ever known from him. So with that being said, with both of you being up there at, he's at Bald Walls now, right now, I believe now. He's not a case anymore. But with both of you have being formerly from there, like, we've heard Johnny's take on why people should use Case Western. Why should another student, in your opinion, choose Case Western?
Oh, that's a great, great question. I think the big draw for Case Western Reserve is that it is a very prestigious research institution. I think they just announced just this past week that they were ranked the number one fastest growing research institution. I don't remember in what specific area, but it's a great, great opportunity for students who are interested in research or just want to go to an institution that has really high level thinking classes. It's about as close as you can get to an Ivy League without being an Ivy League, I would say. So I would definitely say for that reason, I could see why students should choose Case Western Reserve. That and also the area. Just being in Cleveland, Case Western Reserve specifically is located in the number one arts district or one of the top arts districts in the country. So it's a great area culturally. And Cleveland just offers so many opportunities. So definitely would say for those reasons, what I would choose Case Western Reserve.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people on from Case. We'd love to get to talk to everybody in every different department up there, and especially with Johnny working there previously. So yeah, we I'd love to give everybody's different perspective. We've actually had on TJ Shelton and Steve Furlow
Yes. Mhm.
on the show. What's it like working with those guys? We've gotten to Johnny. Now I need to know some about the former guests of
Oh
the show.
gosh, yes. Two other great, great people I love to work with. TJ, TJ's the director of athletics. He is just, but you wouldn't know it. You would think a director of athletics is just this person who, is sitting in an office all day, who's really, really busy, doesn't have time for other people other than maybe the athletes, but that's not TJ. TJ is always out in the community. He's always wanting to support people's events and have conversations on how we can collaborate, even if your office doesn't necessarily have the most to do with athletics. I absolutely love working with TJ, and I think he's a really, really great person to have at CWRU. Steve is like my right-hand person on the spirit committee. I love Steve. Anytime I'm like wrestling with a challenge, I'll just go sit in Steve's office and just kind of like throw stuff at him and get his thoughts. He's so high energy. If you don't know what to say, Steve will. Steve will fill the silence. He's a great conversationalist and a great friend to other people, and he loves to like just highlight the good work other people are doing. That's one of my
Yeah.
favorite things about him is how much he loves to recognize other people. He's such a great person.
Yeah, Steve, when he was on the show, I didn't even realize how long the show and how long we had been talking. And then I looked up at the clock. I was like, wow, we're out of time. Like it was that kind of conversation where like he just sucked you in and sucked me into the conversation. I was invested in every single word he was saying.
Yeah.
And like you said, it was a great conversation to the point where like I obviously for the show, I have some type of script that I like to try to follow and stay on task with. And I think I maybe asked him one question from that script, and then it was just out the window, and we just went off onto a conversation. And I love that about him.
Yeah.
In
No,
that, yeah, it was just like sitting down and BSing with a buddy at a bar and just having a couple of drinks and getting to sit and talk with him, which was an awesome conversation.
yeah.
TJ Shelton, same thing. I've had him on the show a couple of different times with a couple of our sports rounds tables that we do to get his opinion, and somebody who works directly in athletics. We love having him on. Every time he's on, it's great to have him on. But yeah, again, just two guys that they brought the energy to the show where normally I'm bringing the energy as a
Mhm.
comedian. Like that's kind of my mantra, and I kind of love to bring the energy and be that kind of life of the party if I can. But yeah, those two took the cake, and I was so happy that they did, and so happy to have them on, and love hearing good things from about them. I always try to stay in touch with any former guests of the show. So
Yeah,
we will obviously be staying in touch too, Heather. So
for sure.
just to forewarn you now, either whether that's through Fiddy or whatever, I will be checking in and seeing how everything's going for you because I love again like TJ and Steve. I just love to see people succeed, and
Mhm.
that's part of why we want to have people on the show is so that we can highlight them, and we definitely like to highlight you guys and everyone there at Case because Johnny and just being up there and knowing how you guys are. So that's awesome that those guys are still that way. Well, and no, it never
Oh yeah.
fails. Somebody calls me right in the middle. But yeah, so any like with TJ being in athletics and you being like on a spirit committee, do you two get to work a little more closely together with like the athletics and trying to coordinate stuff with them?
Yeah, occasionally. I first met TJ when I was forming the spirit committee because I know he had been involved with it prior to when I joined or when I got into this position. So we kind of pretty quickly met and started chatting a little bit about, ways to increase school spirit, increase attendance at athletic events. Case Western Reserve is a D3 institution, and all of our students are so focused on academics that we don't often have the best attendance at athletic events. So we'll occasionally kind of get together and chat about, different things we can do to increase attendance. We mostly chat when it comes to our like bigger athletic events that revolve around traditional events too. So for example, these past couple of years we've been celebrating our bicentennial at Case Western Reserve. So we have what's called throwback weekend where the basketball teams they'll dress up in the old jerseys because we used to be three different institutions that then merged into one. So the men's team will wear the Western Reserve Red Cats jerseys, and the women will wear the yellow Mather College jerseys that weekend. And so we've been working with him more to plan like a big pep rally leading up to that and do lots of giveaways during the games to really like amp up that school spirit. So those are typically the times when we get together the most, is when we've got some events we can also throw at these athletic games too.
That's awesome. And I think a lot of people, whether they're sports fans or not, love those like throwback
Yeah.
games and like even just seeing the old jerseys and everything like that. Cause then you get to know a little bit more of the history of where you're at too as well. So I think it gets both sides of the coin for that, where you pique people's interest and you get them out to a great event and a sporting event.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that's one of the most unique things about Case Western Reserve is that history of being several different institutions that a lot of our students still don't even know. So we're really trying to make sure that they, yes, of course, celebrate where we are today, but not to forget where we started, because it's a really cool history we have.
Yeah, I loved it at Bethany College when they would do those games, whether it be in basketball or football or baseball or anything. They had those throwback jerseys on. And being somebody, when I was at Bethany College, I was the sports director, so I got to announce all the home sporting events for the radio out there. And just I you would never see the stadiums more packed than when it was on throwback weekend.
Yep.
When they were doing that, and it's an awesome experience, and it made the games that much more fun to me. To one, get to call the game and get to see everything from a little different bird's eye view, being up in the press box, and also just being there while that game was happening and getting it like brought you into a different time. One of the games I remember when I was there and I got to call it is Bethany College football, way back in the heyday, actually played Ohio State in football and won. That was
Whoa.
that was the other big thing in that Bethany College. The one time they played Ohio State, they were actually able to beat them in football, and they wore those jerseys, and they kept talking about that during the game and I had a lot of talking points that I had to get out on the radio, and like you were learning while being entertained at the same time is what I loved about those games.
hmm Yeah, that we had something very similar this past year at our throwback games because we were playing NYU, which is a significantly, better school at this year anyways than we were. So we weren't expected to win. But I think it was the energy and just how many people there were there. We did not beat them. But for both teams, we were within like 10 points of in this final score, which was again much better than I think we had expected to do. And so I do think a lot of that has contributed to just how high the energy was that we don't usually see there.
Yeah, and that was the other thing, and like everybody was invested in the games. Like they weren't just there just to be there because it was a special weekend and a special game. Like everybody was there and like getting involved
hmm
and in the game and was cheering and just being rowdy like you would at a sporting event. And I think the players can feel that. Obviously, as somebody who's been on fields and has been in packed stadiums, you feel that energy from them, and it helps you perform just that much better to make it an even better game in general. But with you being at Case, you've been there a little while. So what do you think the next steps in your life journey is? Do you think you'll stay at Case long term, or is it more of like that stepping stone for what you're wanting to do in life?
That's a great question that have not figured out the answer to yet. That's so tough because I love my job. I love what I do. I love the people I get to work with, but just where we're at in the economy and just things going on, things are not the best financially. I work two jobs,
Right.
and while I love both jobs that I work at, ultimately I would love to not be doing that. So while I don't necessarily want to leave Case Western Reserve anytime soon, always looking for potentially some other opportunities. I'm one who likes to move around. I don't necessarily like staying in the same place for a super long period of time. So it really just depends on what presents itself. But I do really enjoy working in the higher education area, specifically in more like advocacy spaces, which is why I originally went into higher education to begin with. And that's not really where my position has taken me at the moment. So if I were to guess where I would go next, it would probably be going back to more of an advocacy centered officer space.
Okay. I can respect that. Obviously, I get that. I technically work 3 jobs. I have a day job that I do, basically every day, 48 to 55 hours a week. I also do stand-up comedy. I've been doing that for 13 years, and I run this podcast now. Obviously, if you gave me the choice, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be doing 3 things. I would be
Yeah.
able to focus on one. So I get that with being busy in that, but I think that's all a part of the journey that we set for ourselves, and that
Mhm.
sucks right now, but at the end, with the bow, which a lot of people can't see that light at the end of the tunnel, it all will pay off with all the hard work
Yeah.
that everybody puts in.
100%.
So that is awesome. Good for you, because there's not a lot of people that I know and that I've talked to, that I know you said you were still in your 20s, that would work 2 jobs and to make it work. So kudos to you for that. That's that's a very, I don't want to say old school mindset, but it's a very old school mindset, and I appreciate that. And that anybody that has that kind of attitude, that they're going to do whatever it takes to get to where they want to
Mhm.
be,
Yeah.
and that those are people I love to surround myself with.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a lot of work, but hopefully will be worth it in the end.
Sucks in the short term, pays off in the long term, is what I always
Mhm.
say. So that being said, Heather, we are running down here near the end of this episode here. I do have to get this one segment in, and as somebody who knows Johnny, you'll appreciate this segment here. And I know you've listened to a couple of shows, but it is the Fast Fiddy Five.
All right.
5 random questions from the wonderful manager of the podcast, Johnny Fiddy Falcone. He sent these to me literally 2 minutes before you got on this Zoom call here. So we're going to read these together, and
All
we're
right.
going to get it. For the new listeners out there, this is kind of rapid fire, but Heather, you can elaborate if you need to. So if you are ready, we'll go ahead and get started.
I'm ready.
All righty. Question number 1: dishwasher, microwave, stove. If you had to eliminate one, which one would it be?
Oh my gosh, microwave. 100%.
Microwave for me, for sure. I don't.
I will never get rid of a dishwasher. Oh.
No, I wish I had one. Question number 2: would you rather have a pet duck or a pet rabbit?
Ooh, pet duck. I've had a pet rabbit. I don't ever want one again.
My wife keeps talking like she wants a duck, and I keep telling her no. It's just, I know I'm going to come home to one day where we're going to have a duck. Question number 3: if you could have dinner with one famous person, who would you pick?
Oh, one famous person, probably either Julie Andrews or Dick Van Dyke. Those two have been two of my favorite celebrities since I was a child. So probably one of those two.
Wow, that's was not expecting that from anybody. Honestly, that those are 2 great choices, but it was just that one threw me for a little bit of a loop there. I'm not
I
mad at
love
it.
them. Love them
Um,
to
Question number 4: if you only could have one of these for a week, which would you pick? Electricity or hot water? I don't think I read that correctly. Hold on. If you if you only could have one of these for a week, which would you pick? Electricity or hot water? I don't know what that means, Fiddy. So yeah, that
that's a tough one. They're both things that I like. I would probably choose electricity because I could then just boil water if I really needed hot water.
I it's I I don't understand the question, and if I'm being honest with myself, but I have to choose electricity because, like you said, yeah, you could always just boil water.
Yeah.
And question number 5, what is an overrated board game in your opinion? Oh,
Oh, I
he's cutting
know
you
you
deep
picked
on
that
this one.
question for me. An overrated board game. Oh, that's tough. I feel like there are so many. I'll go with the most obvious answer, I guess, which is Settlers of Catan or Catan, however people prefer to say it. I do like that board game, but I would say it is quite a bit overrated. There are so many other strategy board games that are a lot better than that one. So that would probably be my answer.
Okay. I've never heard of it, so I'm going to take your word on that one. For me, it's Monopoly. It's every time.
Oh, gosh.
It's
I love
just,
Monopoly.
I love it. I love it too. But like, it's to the point where we're talking about being competitive, like that game, and it takes forever to
Sure.
play with anybody. And yeah, it always ends in fights. Every time I've played with anybody, it always ends in some type of argument. But
But that makes it fun.
I think, I guess, yeah. I mean, and they've had so many spin-offs of it, like with all the
That's
different
true. Yeah.
characters and that. So I think it's getting a little overhyped in my personal opinion. But anybody wants to know my real opinion on that? We did have a show based off of just games and board games and card games. We
Oh,
have like a 10-minute segment where I just go on a rant about Monopoly and how much
that's so
that game infuriates me. So if you want to hear my true thoughts, go back and check out that previous episode.
that's
But
so fun.
Heather, that was the Fast Fiddy 5. I mean, he took it easy on you up until that last question. I think
Yeah.
he knows you with your board games, and he had to get that dig in there, I think, knowing
Yeah, I think
Johnny.
so. I was prepared to answer my favorite. I was not prepared to answer overrated.
Overrated. Yeah. What is your favorite board game?
I would say Wormspan. It's a Stonemaier Games board game. It's a big strategy game. It's a spin-off of Wingspan, which is that game's about birds. Wormspan, spelled with the Y, is about dragons. It's a really cool, like kind of an engine building game. I would highly recommend, but it does take 2 to 3 hours to play.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, again, another game I've never heard of. I thought I knew games. No, now I'm talking to you, and I think I don't know what the hell I'm talking about when it
Sure,
comes to games.
I play weird games.
Hey, I'm with it. I'm always for learning new things. I'm going to look those two games up when we're done with this show,
Yes.
just so you're aware. But that is the Fast 55. And Heather, I do give every guest this opportunity. Like I said, we are running down near the end of the episode here. If there's anything you want to get out there, whether it's about case or what you got going on, or even if it's just a good message, I'm going to give you about a minute, and the floor is yours.
All right. Well, so the other job that I work at, I do need to plug. It's called LEAP. It stands for Linking Employment Abilities and Potential. It is a an organization that works with adults with disabilities all throughout Cleveland. So they do a lot of things from advocacy to independent living, skills training, peer support, nursing home transition services. And then community education and activities, which is where my role falls in. I'm one of the activities coordinators. So every Monday, I meet a group up at a mall to just walk for an hour. Tuesdays, we'll do things like fun and games or bowling. Thursdays, we're doing arts, video games, and it changes up all the time. So if you're an adult with disabilities in Cleveland and you want to get involved or do any recreational activities, I definitely recommend checking out Leap because it's a really, really cool organization. So that is my plug.
Absolutely. Oh, I love it when people can get something out there, especially for something like that. That sounds like that's a great cause and something I will be looking into when next time I'm in the Cleveland area for sure, and offering a hand up there when I can for you, because that's just phenomenal to do something like that.
Yeah,
But
they're
with
really cool people.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that being said, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. I want to thank my guest, Heather Willis, for joining. It's a lot of fun to get to talk to you and learn a little bit more about you and everything that you got going on. And as always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you didn't. That's going to do it for me. And I will see y'all next week. The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode. What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody. To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going.